Zara didn't plan to tell anyone. Not really. It just slipped out. The night had that kind of softness to it, the kind that makes truths feel safe. Low lighting, velvet shadows, half-empty wine glasses sweating onto a marble table. The air in Domina's apartment smelled like sandalwood and expensive candles, the kind that promised luxury and secrecy. Domina sat across from her, curled elegantly into a cream armchair, her voice low and honeyed as she told her story.
It took me years to even call it what it was.
Domina said softly, eyes glistening but controlled.
I kept thinking maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I led him on. You know how they make you question yourself.
Zara nodded slowly, her fingers tightening around the stem of her glass. She did know. Too well. Domina continued, her voice dipping into something heavier.
The worst part wasn't even what happened. It was the silence after, feeling like I had to carry it alone.
That was the moment, the opening, the illusion of safety. Zara exhaled, her chest rising like she'd been holding something underwater for too long.
Yeah,
She said softly.
I get that.
Domina leaned forward slightly,
You do?
and just like that, Zara crossed a line she couldn't uncross.
It happened to me too.
She admitted. The words hung in the air, fragile and irreversible. Domina's expression shifted, not dramatically, not obviously, but something in her eyes sharpened, focused.
Do you want to talk about it?
She asked. Zara hesitated. She shouldn't. Something in her gut whispered no. But the warmth of the wine, the intimacy of the room, the vulnerability Domina had just offered, it all wrapped around her like permission. So she nodded.
It was someone I knew.
Zara began, her voice careful. She shared the story that replayed involuntarily in her head over and over. Domina didn't interrupt, didn't blink. Domina tilted her head slightly as she finished.
Do you still see him?
Sometimes.
Zara admitted.
Same circles.
What's his name?
The question landed harder than the others. Zara hesitated again, but she was already this far in.
Evan.
She said quietly. For a split second, just a flicker, Domina's face changed. Recognition. Zara didn't catch it fully, not consciously, but her body did, a subtle tightening in her chest.
You know him?
Zara asked. Domina smiled, smooth, controlled, too smooth.
I've seen him around.
She said lightly. Zara nodded, trying to ignore the small, growing discomfort curling in her stomach. The conversation drifted after that. Lighter topics, safer ground. But something had shifted. The softness was gone. Zara left that night feeling exposed in a way she couldn't quite explain, like she'd handed over something precious, and wasn't entirely sure it had been received with care. The next morning, her phone buzzed. Zara blinked awake, her head heavy from wine and emotion, and reached for it. One text, from Evan. Her stomach dropped instantly.
Wow, didn't realize you were going around telling lies about me.
Zara sat up, her heart slamming against her ribs.
What?
Her fingers hovered over the screen. She wrote back.
What are you talking about?
The reply came fast.
Domina told me everything you said last night. Pretty messed up, Zara.
The room tilted. Everything went cold. Domina told him? Zara's hands started shaking as she reread the message, her mind scrambling to catch up. No, that couldn't be right. She opened her messages with Domina.
You told Evan what I said?
3 dots appeared almost immediately.
I think it's only fair to hear both sides.
Zara stared at the screen, disbelief crashing over her in waves. Both sides?
That wasn't your story to tell. That was mine.
Well, he says it didn't happen. I also don't like when people try to one-up me.
Zara's breath caught. One up, as if trauma was a competition. Her vision blurred as the weight of it sank in. That's what this was. Domina hadn't shared her story out of connection. She'd shared it as a stage, and Zara had unknowingly stepped into a competition she never agreed to.
I trusted you.
No response. Something inside Zara snapped, not loudly, not dramatically, but cleanly, like a thread finally breaking. By noon, the story had started to spread, subtle at first, a few strange looks, a couple of cold shoulders, then whispers. Evan, of course, denied everything, confidently, easily, painting Zara as dramatic, drunk, confused. And Domina? She didn't correct it, didn't defend Zara. If anything, she added fuel, carefully phrased, passive comments that made Zara sound unreliable without ever saying it outright. Zara felt like she was watching her own story be rewritten in real time, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. But karma doesn't always take its time. Sometimes it arrives swiftly, precisely, and with perfect clarity. 2 nights later, Domina hosted one of her usual gatherings, curated, elegant, full of the same social circle that thrived on proximity and perception. Zara wasn't invited, but word travels. And what happened that night spread faster than anything Domina had ever said about Zara. Because halfway through the evening, after a few too many drinks and a few too many careless words, Domina made a mistake. A small one, but devastating. She told the wrong story to the wrong person, a woman named Elise. Quiet, observant. The kind of woman who didn't speak often, but when she did, people listened. Domina, in her usual tone of polished vulnerability, began recounting her own assault story again. But this time, the details shifted, subtly, then more noticeably. Elise noticed. Others did too.
Oh, what?
Someone laughed lightly.
I thought you said it happened at a different place before.
Domina's smile flickered.
It did.
She said quickly.
I mean, there were multiple times.
But the room had already shifted, energy turning, eyes narrowing. Elise tilted her head.
That's interesting,
She said calmly.
because last month you said it was a completely different person.
Silence. Thick, uncomfortable. Domina's composure cracked, just slightly. But enough. Enough for people to start connecting dots. Enough for whispers to begin. Because if her story kept changing, what else wasn't true? And just like that, the woman who thrived on controlling narratives lost control of her own. By the end of the night, Domina's credibility had begun to unravel. Not loudly, but undeniably. The same social circle that once leaned into her words now leaned away. Questions replaced sympathy. Distance replaced admiration. And the whispers? They weren't about Zara anymore. Zara heard about it the next day. From someone who spoke gently, carefully, not with gossip, but with concern. And for the first time in days, Zara felt something loosen in her chest. Because the real lesson wasn't about Domina. Not really. It was about discernment. About understanding that vulnerability is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Some women listen to hold you. Others listen to measure you. Some create space for your healing. Others turn your pain into a stage. And the difference isn't always obvious at first. But you learn. Zara learned. She learned to trust the quiet ones. The ones who didn't rush her, didn't compare, didn't make it about themselves. The ones who held her story like it mattered, because it did, because she did. And slowly, carefully, she began to rebuild her circle, not with women who competed, but with women who covered, who protected, who rooted for her healing, not their own validation. And in that space, Zara found something far more powerful than being believed by everyone. She found peace in being known by the right ones.